It's the beginning of the call.
Mhm.
Aloha, everybody. It's Monday, June 5th here in Hawaii, and this is the Open-Hearted Practice Group. Today, we're exploring deep empathy. We've been in the middle of a series for the last few weeks, getting prepared to be able to respond to whatever comes up in your life with when something happens, so that you have some tools in your toolbox in order to create some connection. And so today we're going to extend what we've been working on with empathy the last couple of weeks. And I'm feeling happy to see you all here. And it's gratifying for me when folks keep coming back. Some of the folks I see on the call have been coming for years. And since we started this group during the pandemic, and there's no intention to stop at this point. So really enjoy that we continue to build community. Typically, we have around 30, 40, 50 people that show up. And it's a mixture of 3 different ways of practicing NVC, which we'll cover in more detail here in a little while. And how are you?
Oh, I'm tired. I almost didn't come, but then I thought of seeing all of you and I decided I would come and hang out. And so far, I'm really glad I made that choice. I imagine I will be glad all the way through. It's just really sweet to hang out with all of you and see what we can learn.
Yeah, that's the thing, is one of the most wonderful things about NVC is that it's all about compassionate giving and receiving. So even though we're in the role of trainer, we're supposed to be giving you something. I'm not so sure it really works out that way. I think we end up receiving, at least I can speak for myself. I receive as much as I imagine any of you do from these opportunities to connect and be together.
Absolutely. I'm on the same page with that. Yeah, it's already a gift to be here.
So today we're going to start with, we always start with like a self-connection exercise. And often they're led by me or by Jory, like a little meditation. But today we have a special treat in that one of our participants, Kay Hannah, who is here, you can probably find her on your screen. Kay has an opportunity to express her joy of living through music today.
Yeah.
And so she sent me a YouTube video that I'm going to share with you all. And so this is to set us up for experiencing empathy with each other. And so it's actually, when I listened to it a couple times earlier today, it really met a need for me for self-empathy, which is the ground for empathy. So I'm going to share that song with you in just a second here, as soon as I get it ready and find it on my screen. So let's see here. So what you can do in the meantime is get yourself, whatever you do to prepare yourself for either meditation or self-empathy or just being with yourself. So I'll just be quiet for a couple of minutes while you do what you need to do to align yourself with your intention. Just notice how you're feeling right now as you anticipate listening to some music. Connect with the needs that are alive in you. And we'll listen for a couple of minutes to Kay.
It's not going.
Not yet.
Huh.
Okay.
Wow, that's interesting.
Let's see. Hang on just a second.
Yeah.
Let's try it again.
Huh, something's, oh my goodness.
Let's see. Just notice what comes up for you as things unfold, perhaps in a surprising way. That's what I'm doing. Staying present.
Yeah.
to what's alive in me.
Yeah. Just notice for yourself. You might even check out your body, see what you notice in terms of the sensations there. Ah. And here we go.
I'm getting information from people saying maybe you're not hearing this. Is that true, that you're not hearing it?
Yeah, there's nothing coming through, no sound at all.
Oh, it must be
wow.
interesting to have silent meditation then.
Wow, that's
I
really
don't
weird.
know what's going
Hearing
on.
it. Can't hear.
Try it again.
You might
Okay.
try turning on it's called original sound in the settings.
Yeah, I have that on. I'm going to try it again.
Yeah, don't,
See
just
what
don't
hap-
mute us, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so let's try it one more time here.
It's
I was
good.
really enjoying the music.
Yeah,
I
it's
want you to
really
enjoy it too.
beautiful.
Okay, it says share sound and optimize for video clip. And I click this button. So tell me if you can hear this now.
Yes. Yeah.
And then now just notice again how you feel. Checking sensations and emotions in your body. Connecting that to your needs. Notice what comes alive in you in the presence of that music and in this interim afterwards. The next thing we offer is an opportunity for you to talk about this experience with some friends. But before we do that, I would like to just hear from you, Kay, about what's alive in you having shared this experience, if there's anything that you would like to share with the group before we go to small groups.
I'm feeling moved to have shared this with this community that I love. I love playing, and I love sharing that with others because it enriches my life to do that. And I'm going to do more music this Saturday, and I can put the details in the chat. But yeah, it's a little hard for me to talk right now. It's very powerful to share something that's so important to me with my community.
Mm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Get how touched you are, how meaningful this is for you to be able to connect with your community and share this beauty with us. So we'll go to small groups now, and you can have a chance to talk about your experience. This is your opportunity to practice honesty and empathy. Honesty being the speaking part of NVC, and empathy being the listening part. So we hope you enjoy this opportunity to connect. There's 12 minutes in the small group. There'll be a countdown timer in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, if your screen's like mine, and it'll count down. So please guard the time in your group so that everybody gets a chance to have about 3 minutes or so, 3 or 4 minutes to share. And then there'll be 1 minute at the end. When the timer goes down to 0, you'll see a little message saying this breakout rooms are closing. You'll be tempted to push a button, but you don't have to push any buttons. You can just sit on your hands and let that unfold. And you'll automatically come back here. Okay, we'll see you back here in 13 minutes. Okay. This is the moment where I get to answer my own curiosity question and find out who would like to share anything in the large group here about either Kay's offering or what's going on for you or what happened in your small group, whatever's alive in you right now. And so you can raise your hand like Purva and Siva have done. If you don't know how to raise your hand, on the bottom of your screen, there's, it's like mine, there's a bunch of little buttons. And one of them says reactions. And under the reactions, there's a place where you can raise your hand, electronic hand. probably won't be able to see you if you go like this because there's two screens up for me today, so I can't
Mhm.
see everybody. So go ahead, Purva. What's on your mind? What's on your heart?
I'm absolutely thrilled because when you were mentioning about the breakout rooms, I was already chatting to everybody, saying how blessed I feel that Kay played this today and what I could experience. And to my joy, in my breakout room, it was Kay and Monica. So it was just delightful. And I was sharing with Kay, firstly, I'll share that part that when the music played, I just shut my eyes and I said, I'm going to dance. And I started dancing. And then just in that moment, something that came to me, and I said, no, I want to touch every part of my body and say, I love you and I thank you. And I love you and I thank you.
Sweet.
And it made me realize that I have never done this in all of my 48 years. Like literally every part of my body. So that was just wow, like goosebumps. Wow, I don't know. I don't know how to mention it. And then the next bit, of course, being with Kay in the group and sharing with her about this experience. And then she did share that she, again, I feel like every time I come here, I get this string of words, like a little phrase, a quote, a word that keeps getting added to my little booklet. So Kay said something that she had a strange combination of emotions. And I found that so powerful that there are so many times that we have strange combinations of emotions. And we just say, I don't know, I'm feeling weird, I'm feeling blah. But this was such a beautiful way to say it.
Wonderful.
And I think a powerful thing that she said was that she wanted, her body was feeling stressed, and it was saying a lot of things, but she also wanted to play. So I think this constant conflict that a lot of us have of, we want to do this, but then something is not supporting it. So we always try to. And then finally, Monica was in the group, and I had already written about this belonging and mattering that came up in the beginning of the session. And she said she was wondering whether, she was thinking now that, okay, if mattering is related to some other person, then belonging, if that's the word, then isn't that also related to some other person? And then I gave my view that the belonging and mattering is very much, I do agree that the matter is dependent on somebody else. Like, do I matter to someone else? But the belonging feels very much, I belong to myself and I matter to myself. And then she had an interesting clarifying question that how can you like belong to yourself? What do you really mean by that?
Mhm.
Finally, what got concluded is she understood that maybe what Purva is trying to say is, I belong to this earth. I belong and I exist. So again, that was
Mhm.
pearls of wisdom, and I've written it down that I belong and I exist. So
Wow.
thank you so much, Kay.
You're
And thank
welcome.
you so
Huge.
much, Monica.
Yeah.
And all that in about 12 minutes. So thank you so much for sharing. Yeah.
Thank
Beautiful.
you.
Thanks
Thank you.
thanks for your honesty. Siva and then Allison. Go ahead, Siva.
I just want to continue what I've just heard because I and probably many other people got a that email from you, Jim and Jory, about the opportunity to practice with your student Donna, who just became a CNVC. And what I said to Donna is that, all of us, well, I'm just going to speak for myself. I come here because this is like a fire drill, because I want to be able to take care of myself, and like Kay was, to the need to contribute is a big need for human beings. And it's when you're under threat, when you're feeling in threat yourself, you'll forget about that. Your need to contribute, and you'll think terrible things about yourself. This is very dangerous. But I did say to Donna, you know, most people want to monetize all the expenses that they've invested in getting themselves to the level of a certified NVC trainer. So I don't like to use PayPal. I don't want to use it. I just want to send a check. So what I was going to do, Jim and Jory, I'm going to mail a check because I'm in the United States and you're in one of those United States, even though you're in the middle of an ocean. So I'm going to mail a check, and all I want to know is, how do I fill it out?
You
Just tell
can-
me.
You can just make it out to J Mansky. Just the letter J Mansky. That way, whoever goes to the bank can cash it.
Okay, and this is for you to pass on to Donna.
Okay,
Will do.
will do.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much,
Thank
Siva, for
you.
the support. For those of you who might not know what Siva's talking about, Donna, who often has come to this group in the past, she has become a certified trainer now, and she lives in Korea. And she offered to do a class for us last Friday or Saturday if you're in Asia. And I've heard great things about the class. Thanks for the feedback, Siva. And Allison, and then we'll finish with Sarah Joy and move into the lesson. Sarah Joy? I mean,
No,
Allison.
Allison.
Sorry. Oops, you're on mute, Allison.
There we go. I just wanted to say how much I really was nurtured, felt very nurtured by the music and how she played the piano. I don't know that I completely forgot that I don't like piano playing because the way Kay did it was like giving me a warm favorite chair that I could, snuggle up in and just completely relax. And or being in, I was raised in Hawaii, so that warm water in the lagoon and feeling. It was so, and there was no crescendos, no arpeggios, no drama, no. It was very delicious to me.
Oh.
So appreciated how it had no beginning, middle, end, and it just so soothing to me. So thank you very much for the beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank-
Kay. Thank you.
thanks, Allison.
For
And Sarah Joy?
Yeah, thank you, Jim and Jory. And thank you, Kay. That was lovely and amazing. I immediately felt a lot of movement in my chest and my heart opening, and I played the piano. It was very alive in me, and I really appreciated my partner in the breakout room because there was so much synchronicity. We both felt similarly, and then found out that we both had some kind of connection to music and so on and so forth. But I was also saying how I was very inspired by what you did, Kay, because I'm shy to play in front of others, and I do want to connect, and I have in my past. I met fairly recently, over the past couple decades, when I moved to Seattle, a wonderful piano teacher who helped me get over the shyness and got me to play the piano in retirement facilities in the area. But then I was injured and lost the use of my hands for a while. I came back and I did a little bit just with my friends, my piano friends. I've not, since I've been injured, played in public. So it's very impressive to put together a performance like that. And I felt you giving us a gift from your heart, and I received it that way. So thank you for that. And thank you, Tanya, for our synchronistic conversation and all the ways that we connected today. It was sort of meant to be that we were in the same room at, at this time. So thank you, Jim and Jory.
You're very welcome.
Very welcome.
All right, so in a few minutes, we'll get some more chance to practice, probably in pairs. There might be one group of 3, but there will be more chances to practice today. I need to drive this for just
Okay,
a
so
second.
I've got groups of 4 and 4.
Okay. So let me share my screen with you and we'll talk a little bit. We'll do a little review of what we've been doing, and then we'll talk about something new. So the title for today is Deep Empathy. And it's a carry on from what we've been working on. But everything about how Jory and I offer NVC begins with what we call the 0 step. And so let's just review what that means really quickly. It has to do with intention. Remembering what the intention of nonviolent communication is. To create a quality of connection that supports compassionate giving and receiving, or to make life more wonderful, is the shortcut way of saying it. We bring our attention to the present moment. Our focus is on feelings and needs. And then when we do that, there's a kind of a magical effect that happens, that we open to outcome. We get really curious about what can make life more wonderful from now on. So that's NVC in less than 40 words. And to do that, we use 3 strategies: self-connection, which is just using NVC with yourself; empathy, which is what we're going to be practicing mostly today, which is when we are listening with our whole body to another person; and honesty, when we're expressing what's alive in us. And so we've been gradually adding some skills here as we've been working together for the last month and a little bit. And so the first skill after 0 that we worked on was self-empathy. And we figured out a way, Jory and me, to simplify it into 3 words. So it doesn't have to be complicated to do self-empathy. You're just noticing what's actually happening. You're noticing what's happening in the world. You're noticing what's happening in your body. You're noticing what's happening in your heart. And then you name it. You just name it for yourself. This supports the ability that's built into human beings to observe. We are born to observe. And then the third step of self-empathy is just to allow what's actually happening to unfold. And then from that allowing, then something else can happen.
Yeah, and just to say that it's happening whether you allow it or not. And the resistance just adds the pain.
And so that adds that skill to our menu of choices. And so there's this dance that goes between 0 step and self-empathy. This is our natural state. When we're born, we're born into 0. We have a natural intention to connect with the world. All of our attention is devoted to the present moment. We don't even have the ability to think yet. And babies are open to outcome. They have no idea what's coming. They have no concept of a tomorrow. They just have presence. So this is our natural state, and it's been educated out of us. So nonviolent communication is a way to re-educate ourselves. And then we added 2 additional skills to support this re-education process: gratitude and empathy. And so this is our 3rd week of exploring empathy. And so we'll continue with that today with a practice. And so to do the practice, the first thing that I'd like to invite you to do is, this will be a written practice first, is to check your own 0 step right now. So you just go inside, so to speak,
Mhm.
Check, are you present? Do you have an intention to connect, in this case with yourself? Are you open to find out what happens next? If so, you're in 0. If not, then you can pause for self-empathy. So let's just assume that you're not in 0 yet. You just notice what's going on instead of 0. You just notice it. So for example, I can imagine, especially if this is your first time here, you might notice a feeling of anxiety or worry or curiosity. So you just notice those feelings first and then name them for yourself. And then allow yourself to feel whatever it is that you are feeling. And that has a tendency to get us back to 0. So as you continue the practice, you can always go back
Mhm.
and do this quick self-empathy process.
And that allowing is so important. You know, you probably heard the phrase resistance is futile. You know, allowing just opens you up to the reality of what is.
So now I'm going to invite you to think of a moment when you needed empathy and didn't get the quality of connection that you were hoping for. Now, don't choose something that has sent you back to therapy for the last 10 years or whatever it is. Pick something like a minor moment in your life, something that you can stay present and practice with. But a time when maybe something happened at work and you came home and you wanted to be heard about it, but it just didn't seem to get the empathy that you were looking for. Or maybe something happened at work and you went to a colleague and you wanted some empathy. Or maybe something happened with your kids. And so you talked to your partner and you didn't get the empathy that you were looking for. So see if you can think of a moment that's on a scale of 0 to 10. You want to pick something in the 1, 2, or 3 range. Think of a moment when you needed empathy and did not get the quality of connection that you were hoping for.
Don't want me
And then describe the moment as an observation. Just write down just a description of what happened. So for example, recently we had a visitor at our house, and when after he had some jet lag, and so he just wasn't as it ended up triggering a migraine, and I was feeling really sad about that. And I called a friend to let them know what was going on. And I didn't have an experience of having my pain acknowledged or caught. What I got was advice, what I interpreted as advice. So write something like that. And I'll be quiet for a couple of minutes while you think about it and do some writing. Anybody needs some help with this step? Anybody want
Jim,
to
are we still
go ahead, Purva?
are we still with step 2 as to what happened?
Yes, you're just describing it. This is what we call the observation in NVC.
Right.
Just describing it.
What you see, hear, sometimes taste, touch, smell.
Yeah. Notice just if anything shifts for you by doing this step. Sometimes this is enough to get a sense of liberation, to notice it and name it. Not always. But sometimes it helps just to notice and name. And we go to the third step. So what needs of yours were hungry in that moment? Put a needs chart up. This isn't the right needs chart.
Yeah.
It's just a list of some needs that have worked for us and people that we've studied with for the last few years. But if you have other words that describe your needs better than what's on this piece of paper, please trust your own words. But what needs of yours were hungry in that moment when you didn't have the quality of connection that you were hoping for? Like in my case, it was empathy. Right here, I was really needing empathy, some understanding, a sense of cooperation, support.
And as you look at what as you seek to learn what it is for you, if it's not on this list and you come up with something else, just ask yourself, and if I had that, what would the deeper meaning of that be? Just to make sure it's something universal rather than not.
If you want to put these needs in the chat, that might be supportive for other people who are here for the first time. Maybe you have some needs that aren't on this list. It might help them to see what goes on in your heart. And Pooja asked in the chat, this kind of goes to what Jory was just sharing, is encouragement a need? Maybe. Depends on how you're using the word.
Mm-hmm.
If a need makes no reference to a particular person doing a particular thing. So if you needed Bill, let's just pick on Bill. Bill's not here, so we can pick on him, to give you encouragement, that would be a strategy or a request. And the way you can kind of go a little deeper is if I got that encouragement, what would that mean to me? Or what need of mine would be fed by receiving encouragement?
When we really connect to what the need is, there's like an yeah, it's like a place where we settle. So you can, even if you have a needs word already, just ask yourself, and if I had that, is there something deeper under that? Just see.
This, by the way, supports us in the process of mourning. When it hurts, when needs aren't satisfied, it's painful. It's designed to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to feel pain when our needs are not met. It's okay to feel hungry when you need food. It's okay to be gasping for breath when you need air. It's okay to have a need for touch. Where we get hung up is when we think that only one person can meet our needs. And then we put all that responsibility on our partner or our parent or our kid or somebody else, rather than touching into the universality of the need. So let's go on to the next step.
I have a question about needs, please, if it is a good time to ask.
Go ahead, Mickey.
Okay, so I was talking to Miss Peggy Smith, another CNVC trainer, and she said she took off sexual expression completely from her list. And I understand if sexual expression, having sex with someone, the person is inside of, connected with the needs, that will become a strategy. But she was talking about completely taking sexual expression off from the needs. Do you have any feedback on this? Do you
I don't
have
have it.
your,
I don't have it on my list.
oh, yours
Yeah.
don't either.
No,
So it's
I
a
don't.
strategy for intimacy or
I
strategy.
put creativity. When I thought about sexual expression,
Yeah.
and I thought, what needs of mine are met through sexual expression? It's about creativity. It's about love. It's about empathy. It's about connection. It's about fun. And so it just helps me more to consider the needs that are underneath any kind of a behavior. And when I see the word
Oh.
expression, then I kind of see it as a behavioral. What comes up for you when you hear that, Mickey?
I'm just curious of myself. Where did I saw the sexual expression under the needs list? And when I went to high school to give NVC workshop, and the teacher, I remember erasing it. So the list that I used had sexual expression.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe your experience is what triggered us to take it off our list. Maybe you shared that with us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but now that you say that, thinking about the need for sexual expression, I mean, do 4-year-olds have a need for sexual expression?
Too
Is it
young.
really
I don't think so.
universal? Yeah, it's not universal.
Oh,
Yeah. That's,
interesting.
yeah, that's the measure for me. Is this universal? Is this
Even
something,
4 years old.
right? And even when we say sexual expression, or any need, it's so helpful to say, and if I had that, what's the deeper meaning? And to keep going until you realize there's no deeper meaning.
Like pleasure, maybe it can go to pleasure if you.
Pleasure, yeah. And if you had
Yeah.
pleasure, what's the
Mm.
deeper meaning of that? And
Aliveness.
right. And if you had aliveness,
Mm.
it's a deeper meaning. And I'm talking about contextual at this point, rather than just, the right list. But
Yes.
just keep drilling down until there's this place where you go, oh, right, yeah. And it just settles. It's so
Mm.
clear. It's like you found the truth with a depth of self-connection.
Yeah.
So it's
Mm.
not the words even that we use. The words are just pointers. It's about getting to the essence of who we are and our shared humanity.
The needs are like, for me, the needs are like signposts that point me to something that's really beyond words, right? Like when you think about love as a need there, and you start surfing the what Marshall called the beloved divine energy of love, it's really a wordless space. And the same for all these needs. If indeed needs are universal, which is a presupposition that we have in NVC, and babies have needs, babies don't have words. but they have needs. So we know that needs have nothing to do with the words we use. We use words to create connection. So that if I tell you, Mickey, that I need love, you know what I mean, because you have an experience of needing love. So that's how I hold it. It's like using words as a strategy for connection. And I never would want to get into a situation where somebody told me what they needed and I tried to correct them. I don't think that it helps. I think that I would empathize with them. Even if they said they had a need for sexual expression, I would say, oh, yeah, so tell me more about that. I want to connect more. I would never want to say, oh, that's not on my list anymore or something like that. Or, I would just stay with empathy. And I think it'll be clear the more we go today.
Okay, lovely. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mickey.
Thank you for asking.
Siva?
So I think too much, but Jim, when you called your neighbor, you have to save your neighbor from having to hurt you by saying, do you have a minute? I just want your empathy. By calling your neighbor.
I'm going to stop you, Siva. You're getting ahead. You're anticipating the next step. So just hold your wisdom, because I want other people to discover it. If you're willing, you're exactly where I would expect you to be, but other people might not quite be there yet. So can you hold it for just a
Okay,
second?
so I want to say something else.
Okay.
And that is, I didn't know the name Peggy Smith until yesterday when I discovered it, because I've been really curious about, I was hoping somebody had written a biography of Marshall Rosenberg, since we're, whatever a person is, it depends on their own story. So I wanted to know his backstory. And I went to Wikipedia and I put on biography Marshall Rosenberg, and there's a wonderful, wonderful, very long footnoted article that I want to call everybody's attention to. And that's where I discovered Peggy.
Could you do this at the end, because you're taking us down a different
Okay,
road
okay.
with focus. Thank you, sweetie.
Okay, thanks, Shiva. Let's see. Let's go back to the exercise now. Reconnect with that moment when you didn't get the empathy that you were hoping for. Maybe it's helpful to re-describe it to yourself or to read what you wrote, and reconnect with the needs of yours that were hungry or unmet. Another way of putting it, in the moment. And then bring yourself back to presence again. Right now, as you remember this, how do you feel? What do you notice in your body? Just become present to sensations and emotions in your body. First noticing and naming, if you have a name for it. And then if something like that were to happen again, knowing now about your feelings and needs, what could you ask for that might contribute to getting your need for empathy satisfied? What could you ask for? Again, if you have ideas that you'd like to share with others, you could put them into the chat. In my case, I might have called my friend and said, you know, there's a wrinkle that I'd like to talk to you about in terms of what's going on here. And I think I just need somebody to listen to me for maybe 5 minutes might be enough. So would you just be willing to listen to me for 5 minutes without saying anything unless I ask you a question? So that could be one example of a request that might contribute to my need for empathy in that moment, to just ask for some silence, silent presence. If you don't come up with a request, that's okay, because you're about to go to small groups maybe and talk about this. It may be too soon for a request. You might still need to mourn a little bit. So
I need to.
we've got to do a little adjusting here on the breakout. We'll put you in pairs this time so that there's more of a chance for you to connect and practice. The idea here is that you will share whatever you're okay to share with about your experience with your partner, and your partner the request of the partner is to just listen, to practice listening, unless the speaker makes a request. So if Jory's my partner and I'm talking, there might be a sense that I want to make sure she's with me. And that would be in me as the speaker. I said, Jory, what are you hearing is important to me? Then she could open her mouth if she chose to respond to my request. But see if you can stretch into just silent presence if somebody else is in pain. And we'll do it for 20 minutes. So there's 10 minutes per person. So that should be plenty of time to explore this particular moment in your life. And Purva, you have a question before we go, that for clarity?
Yes, my question was, what if I am seeking some advice or a suggestion with the situation?
Yeah. So there's always time for that. I would, if you were my partner and I was listening to you, I would empathize with that request first. So you're really looking for some support right now, huh? You really like some advice. And then I'd just be quiet and see what came up for you. And if you said, yeah, you know, I think I'm clear on my needs. I just would really like some advice. And so then I might empathize with that request. So you'd like me to tell you one idea I have on what you could do in that situation? So again, that's empathy. I'm just making an empathic guess now instead of a feeling or a need. I'm empathizing with your request. So yes, there's always room for the speaker to make a request. And then the opportunity would be for the empath, the listener, to make a choice about what do you sense would be most connecting right now. Does that answer the question, Purva? Okay. Carolyn, you had your hand up?
Well, I did. So I just, I don't know if I had put an equal sign in front of my name,
Huh?
which would mean not going into a breakout, but if we're doing 20 minutes, so I don't know if I don't go into a breakout, what am I doing?
Then I would say, that's a great question. If you're not going to a breakout room, then I would suggest you write it down. You write down the dialogue.
Oh, no, no.
So you practice self-empathy.
Mhm.
No, I'll go into a breakout room. I think.
Okay, so we will,
Was that
Carolyn,
Carolyn? I
Yeah.
don't know if we have a.
yeah. So you might end up in a group of 3, which is fine. Then you would just split the time about 7 minutes per person.
Mm.
And so we'll find a place here for you. With someone with some experience. Okay, let's see how that looks.
Yes, a sec here.
Yeah, that should work fine. Okay, Purvi, you have a fresh question?
I had just put it in the chat if I could be with you. So I
Then-
don't know if that's possible now. If it's too much trouble, it's all right.
Okay, let's see who you're with. We can do a little swapping.
Okay. Mhm.
I'll move Carolyn in with your former partner. Okay, great. So that would be group 16. Okay. Ask, ask, ask. That's our motto here. So, all right. So we'll see you guys back here in I'm going to call it 18 minutes now, +1, because we want to keep on, make sure we have time for the rest of the lesson. So here we go. 9 minutes each. I'll try to send you a clue in the middle to swap partners. Okay, here we go. Here we come.
Whee! Flying back.
So let's debrief this a little bit about what we've learned together. And first, just notice how you feel right now as we transition out of the group. You might have been right in the middle of a sentence. You might not have been finished, or maybe you were finished a while ago, but whatever the observation is, just allow yourself to notice what's going on for you right now. It's another opportunity to practice. And then as you think about your original observation, there you were needing empathy and you got something else. So if you can name what it is that you got that wasn't empathy, it might be helpful for the rest of us to realize some of our habits. So what did you notice that you got instead of the empathy that you were needing? And you can put it into the chat if you'd like, or so let's see here. There's something in the chat just went. It says criticism and judgment. Okay.
Oh.
So criticism,
Told who I am.
judgment, diagnosis, we'd call that.
Advice. Distraction. Questions. Questions. Let's see. Moral judgment. Should. Anger.
Justifications.
Avoidance.
Some of these, by the way, are observations. Some of them are more evaluations. No, I'm not saying which is which, just
Yeah.
notice the difference.
Deserve thinking. Silent treatment. And there's a question from AJ if you answer,
No response, that'd be a silent treatment, yeah.
just above that.
I'm asking in general, what you experience in the world when you want empathy and you get something else. So this is a good list. Marshall's list, by the way, is down here. I'll make it bigger so now you can see it. It's very close to what our list is. So let me just change this a little bit so you can see it. Marshall's list is intellectual understanding, which can be sometimes helpful. Sympathy, that can be sometimes helpful. Someone trying to give us advice, some kind of fixing. Someone saying, I understand how you feel. So those are some other habits.
And they're not wrong. They're just not really the depth of connection of empathy.
And so what do we mean when we say empathy? So here's something to think about. This answers the question of one of the things that gets in the way when we want to give empathy, and we fall into one of those other categories of giving advice or whatever. If you think ahead to what to say next, like how to fix it or make the person feel better, boom, off the board. You're into the future. Empathy requires staying with the energy that's here right now, not using any technique, just being present. When I really connected to this energy, it's like I wasn't there. I call this watching the magic show. In this presence, a very precious energy works through us that can heal anything. And this relieves me from my fix-it tendencies. So in other words, when we start trusting the power of connection, we realize we don't have to fix it anymore. We can let go.
Yeah, Marshall said, never think what you say is empathy. Empathy is where you're coming from and just being with.
Yeah, here's that quote.
Ah, you had that too.
Yeah. Do not think what you say is empathy. As soon as you think empathy is what you say, we're off target. Empathy is where we connect our attention, our consciousness. It's not what we say out loud.
Thank you.
And so you see, what we do, especially when we're get involved in nonviolent communication, we get really excited about empathy and wanting to practice it. We think that empathy is a doing, which involves a technique. And what Marshall is letting us know, and what I agree with, is that empathy is a being. Or as Carl Rogers said, I'm gonna make this a little smaller. Empathy is saying to someone, I'm trying to be a companion to you in your search and your exploration. I want to know, am I with you? So notice that the energy is self-reflective, but the focus is on the other person. Is this the way it seems to you? Is the question I'm asking. Is this the thing you're trying to express? Is this the meaning it has for you? So in a sense, I'm saying I'm walking with you step by step until I want to make sure I am with you. Am I with you? So that's a little bit of my understanding about empathy. Now, those of you who don't know who Carl Rogers is considered one of the founders of humanistic psychology, and he was Marshall's teacher at the University of Wisconsin at Madison back in the 50s. And so this is the roots. Some of the roots of NVC empathy is in Rogerian therapy.
Yeah, that phrase, I'm walking with you step by step. I'm not leading you. There's no place that I think you should be. I'm just there.
So there's like these three different layers that can support us in creating this quality of empathy that you need and that other people need. So we can't control what other people do, but we can start working with our own behavior. And so we can, now that we know what empathy isn't, and it's our turn to be in that role of listener, we've got some hints. First, to think about what's the 0 step of empathy? Why do I want to listen to you?
Mhm,
What needs am I hoping to meet by being the listener?
mhm.
And then if I am with you and I'm listening, why am I opening my mouth? Because listening doesn't require words, but sometimes words can really help. And so one thing that you can do is to acknowledge the other person's observations, feelings, and wishes.
And we do that when we have a sense that they are wanting something back. Not just as part of the process, because we think we should be doing something. No, we're just walking with them,
Maybe they ask,
pacing.
yeah, maybe
other
they ask for some reflection, or maybe you just sense it. If you sense it, then you can empathize with the request. Would you like to hear what I'm hearing from you? And this helps you to stay so that you're walking with rather than leading someone to their need. And then the second layer is to actually reflect or guess needs. And here the suggestion is to just focus on needs, not thoughts. Don't reflect what another person's judgments are. Transform those judgments into feelings and needs. So if Jory, I'm listening to Jory and Jory says, yeah, that guy at the grocery store was such a jerk today. If I want to be with her in empathy, I don't say, oh, so you really think he was a jerk, huh? You know,
That doesn't help.
probably just feeds her enemy image. But I might be able to say, I might be able to acknowledge her experience. Oh, something happened at the grocery store?
Yeah, or that was hard for you, huh?
Yeah, that would be the feeling. Or maybe I guess the need. Were you really wanting some ease or some flow or some respect? Some kind of a needs guess. We'll practice more of this next
Yeah,
week.
and
by
we
the way.
don't want to be robotic in trying to find the right needs and things. That we don't go to needs until we actually have the sense that they're going deeper themselves, and we might just explore. Is that what it is for you?
Yeah.
Not trying to lead, just walking with.
Yeah. And so the last part of empathy is kind of like where we started, which is just being with the energy of the need. It doesn't require any words. If you're expressing your pain to me, let's say you're in grief because something happened to a loved one or a pet or something like that, and I'm really with you, I don't need to say a word to be with you, to walk with you in that experience. I can just accompany you in your own pain. And then perhaps I'm led to make a reflection, but I want to remember that's not empathy. Empathy is just the being present with somebody. I see your hand, Steve. I'm going to ask you to hold it because we're going to do a quick transition here because we have a guest just arrived. Ju from Finland is here for about 10 minutes. And so I'll keep your hand up, Stephen. We'll come back to you in just a few minutes. The Ju, let's see, where are you on my screen?
Go to the next screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jean.
Ju, where are you, Ju? Are you here, Ju?
Here I am.
There you are.
If I speak, can you find me maybe?
Yes, I'm going to put the speaker view on. There you are.
Great.
So this is my friend Ju, everybody. Ju is living in Finland. He's a certification candidate. And those of you who've been here for the last few weeks know that Jory and I are really excited to be supporting this project in Kenya, where we're working to build an NVC school. And I asked Ju to come today to just share his experience. This is like Ju's social change project. So passionate about helping this school to get off the ground. So what's up for you about it, Ju?
Yes, thank you, Jim, for the introduction. Hello, everybody. Hello, Jory.
Hi.
Yes, so that's it. That's part of my certification path, entering this project and supporting the team who is having this school done. And it turned out to be much more for me lately. I'm getting really close to the team, and I ended up being one of the coordinating members of the project and getting really close to the members in Africa. And I'm here today to speak a little bit more of the project, of some parts that Kirsten and Sam didn't touch in the previous sessions here with you, and talk a little bit about the fundraising as well.
Great.
Yep.
Keep going. I'm with you.
All right. Yeah. So I saw the recording of the last previous sessions when Kirsten and Sam were here, and I'm going just to repeat some of the things they said, in case some of you weren't here last time. But we are coordinating a team of NVC trainers and NVC candidates around the world to support a group of parents and locals in Kenya to build a dream for them. There is a very, very heartbreaking reality in Kenya in the schools. Physical punishment is still allowed, and it's not so seldom when we find news of students going to the hospitals being beaten up by their own teachers. And as well, there is a really, really sad reality towards rape. Young girls are raped at school and they get pregnant, or they get pregnant by consent at really early age, and the community doesn't accept them. Due to moral judgments, they are not accepted at home or at schools anymore. So they have to somehow manage on their own. And the most common practice is sex for fish. This local reality happens in an island in Kenya, and fishing is a good resource for food. So many of these young girls who are excluded from society ended up selling sex for having fish to feed themselves or their siblings, their children. So this local community, who has been trained in NVC for the past 15 years, they started mobilizing themselves, creating their own organization, and asking for international trainers who went to Kenya to help them build a school where NVC consciousness would be the basis where the school would run. And after 3 years of trying and gathering a team and gathering money, things are starting to happen. We have a land, we have an architectural project, and we are at the next step of start building the school. We have the teachers are being trained in NVC. The parents of the children who are going to study there, they're also trained in NVC. There's a huge mobilization there. And we have our website, we have our donation platforms. And I would like to share with you a little bit of what the project is going to look like and what are the aspects of the construction. And would you be willing to let me share the screen, Jim and Jory? Yep, great. So here I'm going to share some of the drawings of the school.
And as Ju gets the slides ready, this is another opportunity to practice. And if you notice yourself having feelings, then this is a chance to practice noticing them and naming them and allowing them. This is painful stuff. Go ahead, Ju.
Yes, thank you, Jim. So here I'm sharing one of the drawings of the architectural project. And
all we see is your main screen without the big picture of the school yet.
Okay, so I will stop sharing and sharing again. Thank you for letting me know. Now I get it. Yes, now you see it.
Passion for this. It happened to me earlier. There you go.
Yeah, great. So this is the front part of the school, and I want to start sharing a little bit about the volunteer team who planned it. I live in Finland, as Jim said, but I'm Brazilian actually. And once I entered the team, that was the main struggle, how to build it, what kind of project are we going to use, how much it's going to cost. And I started contacting volunteer architects to help us. And we found a team, an amazing team, and they are bioconstructors. So we're gonna use as little concrete as possible in this construction, and we're gonna use local material, local wood, local sand, local earth, soil, and the community is going to be involved in this. One of these architects have been building schools or big projects with bioconstruction for years now, and he offers workshops to teach the people who are going to use it, teach them how to build it. And there is a purpose behind this. We want to teach the locals to build their own houses so that they can have a little more freedom and financial liberation as well, by understanding how they can use their own local resources to build a roof for themselves. And we're going to be offering workshops there while the construction is happening. And this implies that we're going to have a volunteer team going to Kenya to do that and be in touch with the locals. So this is a little bit of the front. The next image says a little bit about the middle of the school, how it's going to happen. We're going to have, and you cannot see my cursor, I guess, right?
We can see your cursor. We can see
you can
it.
see it. Great. Yeah. So here we're going to have the classrooms. We're going to have 4 big classrooms, and we're expecting to have about 60 students there, more or less. And it's going to be with a green roof. We're going to grow our own plants in the roofs and harvest the rain. That is really scarce in Kenya. It happens in few months, and we intend to collect all of it and store and use kind of smart technology to use it and grow our own food. We're going to have a laboratory for studying physics, chemistry, biology, and a cantina as well. And as you can see, our water reservoir is in the shape of a giraffe. I don't know if it's very clear here, but that's something the architects came up with. And we're going to have a sports court. And here, where my cursor is going to be a multi-purpose hall where NVC workshops are going to happen, where we're going to invite NVC trainers in Kenya to come and offer training for the community, perhaps even use the facilities for IITs in the future, but mainly to train the community and starting a bigger change in the reality there. And then we're going to have a place for the mothers, for these young mothers to be welcomed and sheltered. We intend to have, in the beginning, 2 to 4 young mothers living in this part of the school, where they're going to have their own showers, their own bathrooms, and be able to raise their children there as well, prepare their own food. And this is being one of the biggest motivators for a lot of people in this project, to be able to shelter some of these young girls who are going to such a hard reality. And we have one more picture here from the top. Again, here are going to be the classrooms, laboratory, common kitchen, multi-purpose hall, library, and a place for the mothers to stay. And this is also the teacher's room. And here's our little giraffe holding the water for us. Yeah. So before I continue, I would like to just check with anyone. Do you have any questions? Is there something you would like to say or share?
Yes, Eva.
I would like to ask a
So,
question. Oh, sorry.
I went to Donna's, Donna Haas. What was her last name?
Yeah, go ahead. Donna Hahn. Mhm.
Donna Haas' class on Saturday, and I met Helen Gao, who's in Finland, and I was so excited because what I think is happening, and I want to know, is the Finnish style of education is so much what the world needs,
Mhm.
plus combined with NVC. So can you say more about that? I hope, yes.
Yeah, thank you for asking, Siva. So your question relates to what kind of system we're going to use in this school, is it?
Well, I put in the chat the 1 hour plus, it's a little longer, video by Pasi Sahlberg called Finnish, the country, Finnish education.
Mhm.
And I've already ordered the book for my public library. Because it's a model for why be fixing things? Why not educate children so things don't need to be fixed?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love what you're saying, Siva. And what I can say is that we're going to be operating in Kenya. So there are still limitations when acting in like a foreign country. We have to follow the laws and we have to follow the script. You know, we cannot just do whatever we want there. At the same time, we're trying to adapt the educational system as much as possible to get to something closer and closer to humanistic education, which is what you're mentioning. The Finnish educational system is the humanistic educational system. And I believe that in the long run, it's going to get there. At the same time, at this moment, we have to deal with whatever is possible and be able to stretch it as much as we can to input NVC there and the humanistic educational system. And that's what we're doing. The teachers, we have some of the teachers already, and they've been being trained by big international institutions towards what kind of education we want to provide there. And they've been with us for a year, I think, being trained. And the idea is to get more teachers and get them ready for the next year when we have the school done to start a completely different education style than the reality there shows.
Thank you, Drew. I just need to, I'm keeping an eye on the clock here.
Yeah.
We have a couple of minutes left, and I just want to make sure people know how to donate. If you
Yeah.
have some links too, but what I'm asking people to do, or one thing they can do, is to PayPal me. I know Siva doesn't like PayPal, but that's fine. You can PayPal me the money, and that's the easiest way. And then I'll make sure that it goes on to the project. And Jory and I will add, let's say you decide after hearing the presentation today that you'd like to donate $100 to this project, which would be a great gift for the project. Jory and I will pitch in $100 as well.
We'll match whatever you donate.
So whatever you decide to put in, we'll double it basically. And our goal is to get this the first part of the school built this summer so that they can open the school in January. Otherwise, we'll have another year before we can open it. So that's why we're kind of pushing for this right now. We're trying to get as much money as possible to get this school going. So just invite you at the end of the call to look into your heart, find out what's alive in you. How much can you afford to give? If it's $1, we'll match it to another $1. If it's $5, we'll make it 10. If it's 100, we'll make it 100. If it's 1,000, we'll make it 2,000. And so we want to walk our talk and be as generous as you. And so please, at the end of the call, check your heart and find out how much you're willing to offer for this project.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna invite Ju to stay if he's willing. I don't know. It's already later in Finland, of course, than it is here in Maui. Actually it's earlier. It's 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. So if Ju has the energy, I'd like to invite him to stay and answer more questions. But I want to let the rest of you know that Jory and I intend to be back next week, and we will practice these 3 layers of empathy now that we've set the table for you. And then you'll get a chance to practice these 3 different layers that we talked about today in small groups like we did today with the other practice. So that's the plan for next week. And there will be a recording of this class that goes up on our YouTube channel and at pathwaystoliberation.com. I'll put those 2 links in as well. If you're here for the first time and you'd like to be on our notification list, I'll be happy to put that in there as well in just a second. So first comes the recordings. How to get to our recordings? It's in the chat.
Now,
And if you want to join our mail lists, this is the link for that. Okay. And with that, I'm going to end the call. I'm going to turn it back over to Ju as the host for the rest of the meeting. You're welcome to stay as long as you'd like, but this is a chance to get to know another person that's passionate about NVC and social change. And we'll be sticking around for a few minutes ourselves. But thank you all for coming. And I really appreciate your willingness to support this project. We've already raised a few $100s, so we're well on our way to supporting this. This isn't the only fundraising effort that these guys are doing, so they're doing a broad outreach, and so I expect we'll be able to meet this goal. So, Ju, are you willing to stay for a little while?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, Carolyn, you want to go next?
I just wanted to ask you what currency, because I mean, I'm in Canada. Do I just send Canadian?
Yeah, you can just PayPal will do the conversion for you.
thank you.
Oh, so it would be converted into US dollars.
Correct.
So, or I could send US dollars. Okay, that's what
you
I'm.
can send US dollars either way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
Or
you.
you could send both. You can send both Canadian dollars and US dollars.
And Sarah? Joy?
Yeah, thank you. I was just wondering if you could put in the chat the website in case I already donated and Jim and Jory doubled it, or at least I think they've already done that. But I have friends in the United States that are not NVC members who do generous things, and so. But I need a website for them to go to, and
Great. Ju has put the link into the chat there, and feel free to share this widely with people.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I want to tell you a little bit of our perhaps this is a good moment to show a little bit of the structure of our project. And we have a space for advocates, for people who want to advocate for the cause, and talking to friends who could donate money to us and who usually donate to social projects is a great way to advocate for our project. And you definitely have a space there with us to do so. Yeah. And Corey had a question as well.
Corey, if you're talking, we can't hear you yet for some reason.
Okay.
There you go. There you go.
I just wondered, I didn't catch the name of the school.
Yeah, it's going to be NVC School Rusinga.
Would you be willing to put that in the chat?
Absolutely. It's like I shared the link in the chat here, and it's exactly what the link says. NVCrusinga.school.
Okay, it's a little hard to know where that is right now.
It's already in the chat.
Yeah. NVCrusinga.school.
Okay.
It's called the NVC Rusinga School.
Yep. And Monica has a question as well.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, are you folks wanting some foreigners like, us to volunteer to teach English or something? I teach English overseas, so I'm just wondering also NVC. So I don't know, are you wanting some people also to get trained now or that want to volunteer or later or have any idea?
Well, thank you for asking, Monica. And I honestly, I don't know how to answer your question. The children there in Kenya, they speak English and they're going to be taught that in school. But I believe that in the future, when the school is running, any kind of volunteers who can actually help are going to be super welcome, both in NVC training or in any subject, I guess. So would you please contact us via the website as well? There's a place there for just sending us a message, and if you would send us an email saying what you just told me, I believe we're gonna make contact with you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was actually also wanting to know, like, before I came there, it would be nice to have training, like how you're teaching NVC there, and so I would be on the same page as you guys. That's kind of
Yeah.
also what I wanted to know, if that's possible.
Awesome. Absolutely. I think in the future it's gonna be like super suitable.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Monica. I feel really excited about that. I've known Monica for about 15 or 20 years now, and she's been a teacher here in Hawaii and has been bringing NVC to kids here. So she would be a great support for you.
Awesome. I'm
Yeah.
super excited hearing that.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else have anything before we open up small groups for you guys to go back to and say goodbye?
I just want to say how cool it is to look at that beautiful, what do you call it? Diagram or whatever it was? Is that what it's called? That was so impressive. And a lot of work. And then the real live giraffes in the background, right?
Yeah, yeah.
This is a place where giraffes can be both inside the school and outside the school at the same time.
Isn't that great? Oh, I was just thinking Marshall would be so proud.
Oh, yes, yes. I imagine that he would be smiling very broadly thinking about this, because this was his field. Before he got involved with NVC, he was really involved in education. His first books were about education. And also one of his last books was called Life Enriching Education. So this was his passion. And he did lots of projects bringing NVC into the schools. What I like about this project is it's a whole system approach. It's not just trying to teach the kids, or it's not just trying to teach the teachers or whatever. It's about an entire community-based approach. And my vision of it is it's like a little seed that's being planted in a Rusinga Island in this very remote place in the world. And that this seed will blossom and spread first throughout all of Kenya. And violence in the schools in Kenya, they'll see there's a better way, that they can get their needs met without violence. And that then the neighbors in other countries of Africa will start getting the word, because NVC is growing in Africa. We're getting more and more NVC trainers there. And that it will eventually spread around the world. And we'll look back at 2023 and think, this is the day, this is the project that helped to change the world. And so I really appreciate anything that you guys can do to help make that possible. Any final words for you, Ju?
Yes, I am just answering a question here from Ajay. Yes. That he is struggling to pay to donate via PayPal, and I'm saying that via the website you can donate through multiple platforms, including CNVC. You can donate it to CNVC. CNVC will take 10% of that donation, but that's not all bad, because they will distribute that throughout the world to causes that also need that money. So you can even deduct your tax from yes, thank you. Jim and George just pasted the link there. So it gets easier. I think it gets easier to donate.
And,
for the
and
website.
to make sure that we double your gift, just let us know. Just send us an email or respond to the one we send out every week and say, I donated $20.
radicalcompassion@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I'll put that into the chat too. Just let us know what you contributed and then we'll make sure to match it. And
Yeah, I'm
I'm
afraid-
taking that advice that someone said earlier about talking to other people that you know that have given gifts before. Because the reason that they've given gifts before is because they realize how good it feels to give. And they probably have the capacity to give more. And you might have to ask more than once. So I have a friend who has donated lots of money to NVC projects in the past. I wrote to her recently, talked to her recently, I said, hey, I'm really excited about this project. Would you be willing to help us? And she said, not right now. That does not mean I've given up on her. It just means that I'll ask her again. And I'll just give her some time to think about it to get her other project finished. So Marshall's advice that I really like to follow is ask, ask, ask. And so ask your friends, even if they've been generous in the past, they have more to give. This is how we can use our privilege in the West. It's unbelievable what we're going to be able to do with just a few $1,000s in Kenya that would cost millions of dollars to build a school like this in Maui or Santa Barbara or Portland or something like that. And in Kenya, they're going to be using the earth. They're going to be using permaculture techniques, and they're going to be using local labor. So it's part of that systemic thinking that really really excites me about this project. Thank you all for hanging in there for an extra 10 minutes and letting me preach about this project. And thank you, Ju, for getting up extra early. You can see it's the land of the midnight sun in Finland. Even though it's 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the morning there, it's already brilliantly lit outside your window.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for coming, Ju. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you for the project that you're putting together. I'm touched deeply.
Thank you, Jerry and Jim, for giving the opportunity and for supporting us. I believe you're supporting a lot, and I'm so happy to have this exchange with you.
You're very welcome. Yeah. And Harmony, did you have a question?
I think she asked it earlier.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued, Joe. This is really great and inspiring because you look very young, and I have a son who I've raised in permaculture his whole life, and he's 19, and he's just starting to think about traveling the world, and I've influenced him from age 12 with NVC. And I love that there's projects like this that are going to happen. And I want to show it to him what he can do in the world, which at this moment he thinks like, I don't like this NVC stuff. I don't, but he knows it so well, but he's gonna mature. And I can see him like in you that the young people are going to rise above for the solutions on the planet at this time. And as far as NVC, it warms my heart so much to know that like Marshall Rosenberg has rippled out to the point where we can heal ourselves, heal the planet, make solutions moving forward. And Jim and Jory give us this possibility. And I'm just inspired. The one question I have is in Kenya. I've never been there, but you have this water catch, and I'm curious is there a lot of water there?
No, there isn't. So it's an island. We have the Lake Victoria there, and it's not drinkable water. So we're gonna somehow somewhat also use the lake as a resource, but it's a more complex process because it's very expensive to drain the water from the lake, and and turning it into drinkable water. So it's going to be one of the resources. The other resource is going to be to try to harvest as much of the rainwater as possible. So we're going to try to use both techniques there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
also,
because I
yeah,
saw that the roof is like you're making it with. Sorry.
no, go on.
Oh, it's just breaking up. I saw that the roof has it's growing plants, so it was kind of so you're not catching the rainwater off of all roof space to fill the tank. So I don't know. I was
we are
just
going
curious.
to the plants are going to be used as a filter for the rainwater. So that's they're gonna get a little bit of that water, but they're gonna be used as filter, so that the
Okay.
yeah. And we're also in the future
I
are going to use
understand. Okay.
yeah. And in the future, we're also going to use key line. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's using the shape of the land to harvest the water that comes from the hill as well. But that's more in the future.
Mm,
All right.
beautiful.
Thanks,
Thank you for your
everybody.
good work. Thank you, Jim and Joy, for supporting such great things. It's
You're welcome.
inspiring.
I'm going to turn the recording off now, and Joy and I need to go. And I need to go anywhere. You can,
Yeah.
and but we'll leave the call open for you guys to keep hanging out. And Ju can keep the call going for as long as we like. Aloha, everybody.